Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mikestand. We're going to wait a few minutes, of course, give people a chance to come in. So I hope everybody's having a good week thus far. We've reached the middle of the week, hump day. So, with that being said, we will, go ahead and wait for a few minutes, give people a chance. Won't wait as long as we have. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mikestand. We're going to wait a few minutes, of course, give people a chance to come in. I hope everybody's having a good week thus far. We've reached the middle of the week. Okay. All right. So with that, now that with that, yeah. So, anyways, get to talk about what's on tap in a moment. That's the Justice League Unlimited theme, by the way. No words, of course, just music. Oh, with that, we're just okay. So we're past 3 minute mark. As I said, I was going to probably start a little quicker than usual. So so this is what's on tap for tonight. We actually going to go over like 5 stories, 4 of them bounding into comics, and then I'll talk about the first story in a moment. The story will lead the lead story in a moment. Normally, I just go through straight through, but there's a particular reason why I'm going to wait on the lead story, as it were, till we. But anyways, so here's what's on tap for tonight. So we're going to so the Matthew Rosenberg, who was the guy who wrote the story about the pregnant Joker in The Man Who Stopped Laughing. He responds to the criticism he's gotten um, since that came out. Also, um, YouTube, of course, has turned off its comments, or I'm sorry, HBO, the HBO Max YouTube channel that has the Velma teaser trailer on it has turned off its comments, as they are just getting roasted by fans. Latest trailers out for the season 2 of Goblin Slayer, as well as Crunchyroll announcing a new limited edition Blu-ray box set for Cowboy Bebop's 25th anniversary. So that's all on tap for tonight in terms of the articles. But before we get to the articles, we're coming up on 5 minutes now. So and we'll start in a moment here. All right, so now we're at the 5 minute mark. All right, so here's our lead story tonight. So unfortunately, it's on a bit of a sad note, as as 14-time World Tag Team Champion, 13 with Ring of Honor and 1 with Impact. Jay Briscoe, one half of the Briscoe brothers. Real name. Now, this is not. They're not related to Jack and Jerry Briscoe. This is a compare brothers. In fact, their real name isn't even Briscoe. It's Pugh. But Jay Briscoe, whose real name is Jamin Pugh, passed away yesterday at the age of 38 in a car accident. He was with his daughters on their way home. Two of his daughters on their way home. But at about 5:46 Eastern Time, he passed away. So Jay Briscoe, as I said, was one half of the Briscoe brothers with his brother Mark. They were, for the last 23 years, were one of the more dominating teams on the independent circuit, being, as I said, 14 in grand total, 14-time World Tag Team Champions, 13-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, as well as being a former Impact World Tag Team Champion. Among some of the other tag titles they've held include IWGP, Combat Zone. They were 2-time Combat Zone Tag Team Champions. I think they were 3-time Game Changer Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Basically, they were considered one of the best teams on the East Coast independent scene, known nationally for their time in Ring of Honor. They having had just won their record-breaking 13th World Tag Title reign with Ring of Honor. This basically almost about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, or a little over a month ago. So anyways, okay, so it was announced by now. Initially, I wasn't sure. When I actually first saw quote unquote the headline on YouTube. Actually, I saw it. Jay Briscoe 1984 to 2023, and I'm going, what? Actually, early this morning Pacific Standard. About 2-3 o'clock this morning. I hadn't even been aware of it. But it had been, by that point, confirmed by Tony Khan, who is the current owner, of course, of AEW and Ring of Honor, that he had indeed passed. The titles, of course, have been vacated due to his passing. That we won't know. That will probably come later as to how they're going to handle that. Most likely there'll be some kind of tournament. As of course the Briscoes were, of course, probably prepping for a possible title defense at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor coming up on March 31st in LA. So now what I'd like to do is, of course, have a moment of silence for Jay Briscoe. Jay Briscoe, 1984 to 2023, having passed away at the age of 38. So I'm going to now do a moment of silence, and then we will move on to the other stories. All right. We here at the Mikestand, of course, send our condolences out to the Pugh family in their time of mourning, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his daughters. The two of them were in the car with him. They're in, one of them suffered a back injury that she had to go into surgery for. The other, suffered some injuries as well. So, anyways, with all that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our articles then, as it were. So, anyways, moving on to the articles. All right, so now let's get into this. As of course you guys remember, I covered Ethan Van Sciver's comments last week about this. There's been a lot of hoopla over this, just people reacting, and then so the writer of the story here, Matthew Rosenberg, responds to the backlash. The Joker, the man who stopped laughing writer, Matthew Rosenberg, responds to backlash against pregnant Joker story. Quote, "This isn't an allegory, a metaphor, or social commentary. It's a joke." Spencer, article by Spencer McCooley, published earlier today. So let's get into this. Faced with the widespread panning of his, in smaller quotes, pregnant Joker story, DC writer Matthew Rosenberg has sought to clarify that his expectant take on the clown prince of crime in the last issue of The Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, was intended as nothing more than an attempt at humor. Now, we've talked about this before. There would have been a time when people would have seen this as that, but however, because of the times we're in, that is not really the case. Let's see what more he has to say on this. As previously reported, the fourth issue of the Batman archvillain's latest solo series featured a backup story by Rosenberg, in which the Joker, after being hexed by Zatanna, so that, quote, "no one else will ever have," in bracket, "his baby," unquote, accidentally ingest a large amount of Clayface refuse, ooh, yuck, and subsequently gives birth to a muddy, childlike clone of the. Oh, no wonder his clone looks ugly. Yuck. Ah. Yuck. Unfortunately for Rosenberg, thanks to the current socio-political debate surrounding the concept of gender, his ostensible attempt at campy body horror quickly caught mainstream attention, as many readers believed the tale to be yet another endorsement by DC of neoliberal ideology. Mm-hmm. Quote, "DC Comics is getting weirder and weirder." And then this is a quote, one of the quotes we read, of course, last week from Ethan, EVS. Quote, "DC Comics is getting weirder and weirder, allowing more perverts and fetishists to make grotesque filth out of their classic characters," said former DC artist Ethan Van Sciver. His declaration fairly representative of this particular take on the whole affair. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Rosenberg probably did not anticipate this, considering, as mentioned earlier in the paragraph there, the current socio-political environment. And I don't think he likes the idea of being called a pervert or fetishist. Quote, fellows, Batman is your last sellable comics franchise. Unhappy with such criticism being levied at his story, Rosenberg addressed this situation in a January 15th blog post made to his personal Substack account. Quote, if you don't get your quote, if you don't get your news from the in smaller quotes, here's what to be angry about, smaller quote, smaller unquote, people, you may have missed this, unquote, explained the writer to his readers. Quote, but certain corners of the world are quite mad that the new issue of The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, makes the Joker trans, and then they become pregnant and give birth. How could we? Think of the children. Quote, only slight problem. None of that actually happens in the comic, unquote. He added, quote, that didn't stop Fox News, the New York Post, Channel 1 Russia, various internet outrage peddlers, and so many of the other sources of journalistic excellence from going all in on it this past week, unquote. Well, here's the thing, Mr. Rosenberg. Again, um, I think it's, I forgot to say who wrote the article. Let me just go back here. So, as Spencer McCauley put it, it's the current year, man. You didn't stop to think that if you did this that you might not get backlash. Yes, there was a time when we could make such a joke and people would see it just as that, as a joke. Not that you were trying to send a message or anything like that, but just that it was a joke. In fact, I think even Ethan had pointed that out as well. You know, or had pointed that out, and other people have pointed it out too. Let's see. And to be fair, even I kind of, you know, I only reported on what was being said. Okay, so um, I'm gonna give my opinion on what was being said. Um, anyways, moving on to, it should be noted that despite Rosenberg's grandstanding, neither Fox News report on the story, which was subsequently licensed and shared verbatim by the New York Post, put forth this claim. At the time of writing, clips from the state sponsored Channel 1 Russia's coverage were unavailable online. Let's see. All right. So, anyways, as we continue on here, in fact, the report's author, Gabriel Hayes, specifically wrote that, quote, readers may be tempted to think this is part of DC's attempt to do some woke LGBTQ inclusive storytelling, with the Joker being a transgender man undergoing a typical pregnancy. Though it's not quite that simple, unquote. But we're going on to explain the story's actual plot. Rather, as quoted by Hayes, this erroneous read of the situation seems to have been made by a single individual director and former U.S. congressional candidate Robbie Starbuck. Quote, in the new Joker comic, he gets pregnant and gives birth, unquote, tweeted Starbuck on January 6th. Quote, yep, the Joker is trans now. At least the character is the Joker because a pregnant woman thinking they're a pregnant man is the definition of a Joker. What else is sick of this? Who else is sick of this lunacy? Returning to Rosenberg's post, the author then explained how the backup stories featured in The Joker, The Man Who Laughed, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, are made to be sort of Silver Age style fever dreams of the Joker that explore different non continuity explanations of how there could be multiple Jokers and other themes of the main book. In each issue, the events of the previous issue aren't discussed or acknowledged, unquote, he continued. Quote, they are literally silly gag strips. We wanted to pay tribute to the fun old stuff of DC's history where Batman becomes two-dimensional or Superman turns himself into a lion or a tree or an ant or Jimmy Olsen marries a gorilla. And this, well, they, I, um, the what they're of course what they're talking about here. Okay, and then there's a line they crossed out here, or Lois Lane turns herself black. I don't know why they. Well, not that one. Um, yeah, what they're talking about here is that during the era of the Comics Code Authority, sometimes what DC would do is they'd have what they call imaginary stories. In other words, stories were not necessarily part of the main continuity, the main, but were used to help explain circumstances or situations that may have happened on other Earths, or show you what was happening on other Earths. So, following his own summary of the story's events, Rosenberg declared that the Joker's pseudo pregnancy, quote, isn't an allegory, a metaphor, or a social commentary. It's a joke. Unfortunately, Mr. Rosenberg, in the climate that we're in right now, you ran a serious damage here. You invited this backlash by writing the story. Okay? You had to know that people were going to probably respond to this. Quote, I will say, so this doesn't come off as some sort of backpedaling, I believe trans rights are human rights, unquote, he noted. With that said, it has nothing to do with this story. It is a story about magical food poisoning. Yeah, but the fact that you made it, the fact that you decided to make them pregnant and all that, that's how he's going to treat it, especially in the climate we're in. You know, The article here. Quote, now I understand the folks at Fox News and the Post might look up to the Joker and see his as an aspirational figure, the writer sarcastically continued. Of course. Quote, yes, he once grew enormous and ate all the people in China, bracket emphasis Rosenberg's, with a giant pair of chopsticks. But I guess they can look away on that, unquote, he said. Quote, and yes, he once cut his own face off for fun and walked around with an exposed skull for a while. But who hasn't? And sure, he once paralyzed and then sexually assaulted a woman, took photos of it, and projected them on a wall while he sexually assaulted her father. But I think Fox and Friends was kind of in. Oh God, I think he's getting into a little self-rejection here. All right, now up until the point that he started making the argument that he's one of those who believes trans rights are human rights, and then started attacking Fox like this, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was just a joke. Okay? I'll be quite honest with you people. Up until he started, he made the statement that trans rights are human rights, and then started to go off on Fox News and on New York Post and any other conservative outlet. Once he started attacking them, now I have to wonder, was it really a joke, or was this an actual allegory or metaphor, whatever? If he had just left it as, dudes, it was a joke, I think most people would have forgiven him. But when he goes off on that little tirade towards the right, he's now inserted himself even further. He's dug himself an even deeper hole into that whole debate. If he didn't, okay, Mr. Rosenberg, Matthew Rosenberg, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. If you really didn't want to have this backlash, if you really didn't want to have this argument, you should have, one, maybe not written the story in the first place, and or two, I'm trying to remember what I was just thinking on that. Maybe not written the story in the first place, and or two, not gone after the conservative outlets for reporting it, or conservatives for reporting on it or giving their commentary on it. Because if you just said, hey, look, it's a joke, it's not meant to be I'm not trying to send a message here, it's a joke, people might have been a little bit more forgiving. But then when you turn around and you start going on an anti-right-wing rant, and you go off on all this stuff, now nobody's going to probably go and give you, if you're going to sit there and go off on them like that, then nobody's really going to give you the benefit of the doubt. If you say it's a joke and then just left it at that, people would have probably let it go. You basically just further proved Ethan and everybody else's point by going off on this rant about, how trans rights are human rights, and how all these conservative media outlets and conservatives are all these evil, nasty people who are it's like, granted, I know you don't like being called a pervert or a fetishist, but considering what's been going on the last 2 or 3 years, you should have known better. Dude, you should have known better. And granted, I doubt very seriously if Matthew Rosenberg is going to actually look my coverage up of this story, but I still will talk to him as if he was. All right, so people would have probably let it go if people would have probably let it go if you just stopped at, dudes, it's a joke. Okay, you just stop there. People would have probably let it go and let it slide, and it would have probably died out. But now you've just opened the floodgate for more people to criticize you over it. Because now you're going off on this rant about conservative media outlets and conservative, conservatives as a whole, and trans rights or human rights. You just opened yourself up for more scrutiny and more ridicule. So for that, I apologize. Or maybe they work on a cycle of feeding outrage and alienation to their audience in order to keep them enraged and angry. Funny, that sounds like a little bit of projection, because if anybody's doing that, I would say that's more like the left doing that. That's people like you, Mr. Rosenberg, who are doing that. Okay? So, and they don't care if they take things out of context, misrepresent things, or even lie. Well, I don't know. Is it a lie? Because, again, I mean, if you had stopped at just saying it's a joke, first off, I don't think it's a lie, because the way you're responding, it's almost like you actually did. You actually were trying to send some kind of message. Now people are going to be criticizing you even more over it. I mean, hey, look what happened when they tried to push John Kent as a gay character. His series got canceled after 18 issues because it stopped selling after a while. You keep trying to push this stuff on people, they're not going to buy it, and you're going to be in the poorhouse. He concluded, quote, "But I'm sure that's not it, right? Either way, thanks for promoting our book. I've heard from a lot of retailers that it's selling out. We appreciate it," unquote. The next issue of Rosenberg's The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, is currently set to hit shelves on February 7th. Well, maybe it sold out because of the first story, not necessarily the backup story. So again, though, it's like I said here with this, is that now I can get that maybe some of this is he doesn't like being called or compared to being a pervert or a fetishist. Okay, I can understand his anger on that, but it does leave one to wonder if you're not projecting a little bit here. Because again, I go back to this. If you truly meant it as a joke, you should have just stopped right there. You should have said, something, it's not an allegory, it's not a metaphor, it's a joke. It's not social commentary, it's a joke. You end it right there. And people probably would have taken your word for it. Because, again, many commentators have talked about the idea that you can't make certain jokes anymore because people are, people are likely to get easily offended. Okay, the left's been doing it for the last, 5 years here. Everybody's got to be a victim. And now that Rosenberg's being called out for some of this, now of course he's going to be playing the victim. So, anyways, that's all for that story. So let's get ready to move on to the next story. Ready to move on to the next story here. Let me see. Now I know a lot of. Oh, hey, let's see. Hi, hey, Broly the Mighty. So is this the son or is this the father? Anyways, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on. That'd be appreciated. Also, if you have anything you'd like to, anything catches your attention that you want to comment on or ask questions about, feel free to do so, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that, let's get ready to move on to the next article then. Okay, so HBO Max YouTube channel turns off comments on official Velma teaser trailer. Article by J.D. Augustine published earlier today. Now, of course, a lot of people have been talking about this. I know VR Dark was talking about this as well. Because again, they've been getting, again, HBO Max has been getting a lot of, flack for this, and I guess they just didn't want to, considering that it's getting ratioed into the ground. So HBO Max appears to be quite aware that the fix is in for their Scooby redo Velma, which is loosely based, I think loosely the key word there, on the Scooby IP, but bears next to no resemblance to the original cartoon. The streaming Titans YouTube channel took action and shut off the comments for the animated series teaser trailer. They did this shortly before the show's premiere, as it was already being harangued and roasted by fans upset over the content of the sundry race swaps made, not the least which are Velma herself, who became a dark complected Indo-Sri Lankan girl like the star Mindy Kaling. Basically the idea that this is actually a self-insert. And it was actually reported that the reason they did this was because they actually did try this tried to do this series with the original characters and it bombed. And so they figured they'd pull the old bait and switch and bring in these these iconic characters to help push their agenda. Then there is Shaggy, rebranded as Norville, who is now black. Now, in all fairness, though, I think they did in recent years, some of the more recent movies and cartoons did actually reveal that Shaggy's real first name was Norville, to be fair on that. But now he's not being referred to as Shaggy anymore. What people also don't probably understand is the reason Shaggy was originally called Shaggy was because of the little stubble around his chin. That's what I believe I heard somewhere along the line there. But anyways, let's continue on with the article. The intervention by the YouTube channel was noticed by RK Outpost creator and newsbreaker Ryan Kinnell, who sees it as a sign. He includes that HBO and Warner Brothers know that they have a woke disaster on their hands that appeals only to a small fraction of a given audience. Quote, it's pretty clear, unquote, Kinnell says. Quote, they know this thing is dead in the water, unquote. Mm-hmm. And if you guys have been catching any of our weekend editions with James Lee, James Lee, one of the panelists, has even told us from the perspective, he's also a shareholder in Warner Brothers, mind you, Warner Brothers Discovery. He's even pointed out that there are many shareholders who are hoping that Zaslav will eventually just can a lot of this garbage because it's not making them any money. People are tuning out, as it were. And of course, we know Yellow Flash and Veridark, as I mentioned, have been reporting on this story quite a bit as well. He adds, they are, quote, doing everything they can to protect it, unquote, not wanting to see the series or any clips get roasted as they've been. Yeah, considering that the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is down to like 6% now. They're not even getting double digits, mind you. Considering that on the critic side, it's about 50-50. Okay. I've even had, I've even talked about how some YouTube creators have even said, hey, don't even hate watch it. Don't watch it just so you can trash it, Just take our word for it, But anyways, let's continue on here. The first trailer was quote unquote ratioed to hell. Yep. Receiving 300,000 dislikes to 36,000 likes and comments. So 36,000 likes, 300,000 dislikes. So that's a ratio of about 8 1/3 to 1, I believe. 300 over 36. So it's 50 over 6, 25 over, yeah. That's a ratio of about 8 1/3 to 1. So for every one person who likes it, just over 8 people don't like it. Okay, so think about that for a moment. Line 9 people up. One of those 9 will like it. The other 8 will not like it, will hate it. So think about that just from perspective's sake. One found an ironic wry justice in Scooby-Doo not being part of such an unpopular adaptation. Yes, people have basically, even Flash has come out and said this should be called Mindy, not Scooby-Doo, because it's not Scooby-Doo. And Velma is not a gay icon, contrary to what Mindy and people of her ilk would like would like it to be. Quote, over and over again, they got destroyed, Cannell said, unquote. Quote, and so now they preemptively turn the comments off on the thing that is supposed to advertise something that comes out tomorrow on HBO Max, unquote. Vilmer's first episode premiered the day following Cannell's coverage. Not that there was much of an audience waiting for it. Yeah, it got ratioed all the few critics that dared to review the show gave it an aggregate of 57%, which is bad. But it's nothing compared to the staggeringly low 6% audience score. Yep, and we talked about that too. I mean, I don't think maybe at the very, very, very beginning it was in double digits. Like maybe the first one or two reviews, if they happen to get on there, fast enough, it was, up to 10% at one point. But for the most part, as the song goes, the score for the show has been going down, 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 down. Gravity going down, down, down. Little schoolhouse rock for you folks. Let's see. That's worse than Batwoman, which stands at 23%. The Ring to Power, which has a 38% score. I'm guessing these are audience scores, by the way, I'm guessing. And Masters of the Universe Revelation, which earned the same number as Rings, which is 38%. And I remember a lot of people were all over all over Masters of the Universe. Like even Hiro Hay reported on this. One of the things he reported on is that Velma is at least doing better on, at least according to the IMDb score it has, which is 1.5. It's at least doing better than High Guardian Spice. And everybody knows what kind of trashy that was. Let's see. Cannell, who was hit with a copyright strike for reviewing clips, says Velma will ultimately be a disaster because of the way Warner Brothers and Kaling insulted the fans while promoting it. Again, it was a bait and switch. They wanted to shove their own agenda down everybody's throats. They knew it wasn't working with the original characters they came up with, so they just decided to just swipe an existing IP and go with it. Let's see. At Warner Brothers Upfront convention, she made it clear she doesn't care what fans think about Velma's ethnicity. And the first trailer insults fandom by writing it off as unreasonable and toxic. Oh, yeesh. That's not a nice look. All right, so there we go with that one. Getting ready to move on to the next article now. Some anime news here. Goblin Slayer Season 2's latest trailer confirms new production studio and 2023 release date. A silver-ranked adventurer is back with a new trailer, a new studio, and a release date for the upcoming highly anticipated second season the anime adaptation of the Goblin Slayer light novel. The latest information about the long-awaited second season of the anime, adapted from the best-selling light novels written by Kumo Kagyu and illustrated by Noboru Kanatsuki, and manga adaptation by Kosuke Kurose, was announced at GA Bunko's January 5th GA Fest live stream event. First trailer for the upcoming second season focuses on reintroducing fans to the titular Goblin Slayer and the diverse members of his adventure party as they set out to continue to slay more goblins. And just so you know, I don't think when they say diverse, they mean diverse like what we've been talking about with stuff like Velma and other woke stuff. I think diverse just means diverse in personality, I think. Anyways, with the first season of Goblin Slayer, um, first season Goblin Slayer, and the 2019 movie adapting up to the fifth volume of the light novel, the second season is set to start with adapting the sixth volume of Kumo Kaguya's best-selling light novel. The sixth light novel introduces new guild upstarts, including a wizard boy who only wants to kill goblins to avenge his sister. The young wizard will be tested when Goblin Slayer's party takes on a mission to slay all the goblins and rescue the women being held hostage by them. The trailer kicks off with the legendary armored silver ranked adventurer Goblin Slayer, who in Japanese is voiced by Yuichiro Umehara, who voices Jugrum Wolf in Bleach Thousand Year Blood War arc, whose mission is to kill all of the goblins. I guess this is the kind of the his look there. Let's see. Starting with Priestess, character who the Japanese voice actress is Yui Ogura, who of course had played Hime Sharaki in Yuri Is My Job. Um, the trailer proceeds to introduce the members of Goblin Slayer or Orc Blog's Orc Blog's party. A former priestess in service to the temple of the Earth Mother, Priestess left the temple to become an adventurer. So she probably got some kind of divine magic powers there. High Elf Archer, who is voiced by now Toyama, who voiced Rota in Vinland Saga, is a young 2,000-year-old elf and fellow silver-ranked adventurer in Goblin Slayer's party and a highly skilled archer. She left her elfin village to pursue her dreams of becoming an adventurer to see the outside world. See if anybody else is on. Okay, Dwarf Shaman, who is voiced by Yuichi Nakamura, who provided the voice of Satoru Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen, is a silver-ranked dwarf adventurer of Goblin Slayer's party, with a mission to find exotic delicacies to accompany his treasured wine. The last member of the Goblin Slayer's party, reintroduced in the trailer, is the silver-ranked Lizardman adventurer with a cheese addiction, Lizard Priest, who is voiced in the Japanese by Tomokazu Sugita, who voiced Jack the Ripper in Record of Ragnarok. The final character introduced in the trailer is the former sword maiden turned archbishop of the supreme god of the Temple of Law. She became renowned throughout the land upon defeating the Demon Lord 10 years prior to the events of the series. In addition, the trailer unveiled that White Fox will not be returning to produce the second season. White Fox, I guess, is the name of the studio. Instead, the animation for the second season is slated to be taken up by animation studio Leiden Films. The majority of the core production team from the first season of Goblin Slayer are set to return for the second season. However, Misato Takada is slated as the new director for the second season, with previous director Takaharu Ozaki listed as chief director. So I guess that third guy got a promotion, I guess. The Goblin Slaying continues in 2023. All right, so there we go with that one. As we are coming up on, we're at 58 minutes now, so we're coming up on hour here. So we're making good time with these articles, these stories. All right, so the last article we're going to go over here tonight is this one here, regards to Cowboy Bebop. So, Crunchyroll announces limited edition Blu-ray box set for Cowboy Bebop's 25th anniversary. Article by Nerdigans Inc., published earlier today. Sunrise's classic space western anime, Cowboy Bebop, has been a mainstay in anime since it premiered on April 3rd, 1998, with many fans describing the series as their gateway in anime. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was also very popular on Adult Swim for a long time, too. Now, just in time for the anime's 25th anniversary, Crunchyroll is releasing a limited edition Blu-ray box set, as well as standard edition box set, for the iconic space western. Each limited edition box set will include a special metallic collector's box, several art cards, and a never-before-seen 25th anniversary retrospective video that will be new to the special features. Specifically, Crunchyroll detailed that their Cowboy Bebop, the complete series 25th anniversary limited edition box set exclusives include the special metallic collector's box, 5 art cards of the Galaxy's finest crew, and Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Where am I? The Galaxy's Finest Crew that you can swap with, the cover for a custom look, and the never before seen 25th anniversary video. Crunchyroll also revealed special features that come as part of both 25th anniversary limited edition box set as well as a standard edition box set. And then they go into a little thing here. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It looks like a pretty long text there. Both the limited edition and standard edition for Cowboy Bebop's 25th anniversary Blu-ray box arrived the day after the official 25th anniversary of the classic space western anime on April 4th, 2023, which will be April 25th. So let me see. What does that mean then? So I'm just trying to think here. Okay, I know that. I was trying to remember it. So 1825. So February 1st is in 2 weeks here. 3rd is on Friday. So that would mean, let's see, Sunday, Monday. So yeah, so the official anniversary date will be on a Tuesday with the following day, Wednesday, and all that stuff will become. The standard edition retails at $48.74, while the limited edition retails at $63.74. Along with the Cowboy Bebop's 25th anniversary box set, Crunchyroll also announced they're releasing Awashi Season 1 Part 1 on April 4th. For those unfamiliar with Awashi, follows the story of Aoi Ashito, who tries out of his I think it's supposed to be tries out for his J League or Junior League, I guess, youth soccer league. Follows his journeys as he puts his skills to the test, determine if he can become a professional. Sounds like a very similar story to Haikyuu. Another sports anime. The Blu-ray retails for $48.74. Let's see. On April 11th, Crunchyroll will also release Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Nue Peace, Season 3, and One Piece Collection 31. Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Da Nue Peace, Season 3's official description reads, quote, doubt stirs among trusted officials when Reinhard, still grieving his recent loss, approves an enormous advance on Iserlohn Fortress. Meanwhile, Yang is drawn away by suspicious court orders, leaving the Free Planets Alliance to battle without their leader, unquote. It will retail for $48.74. Now, this latest, it's part of a franchise that started way back in the 80s, Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Albeit this is the only series that was actually ever dubbed, unfortunately, fortunately for fans, for dub fans anyways. See, One Piece Collection 31 collects episode 747 through 770. The official description states, quote, sailing with Barto Club, the Straw Hats are lured into Silvermine, where Luffy and Bartolomeo's lives are on the line. After an explosive escape, the crew makes a treacherous journey to Zhao, only to discover its sprawling city in ruins. Weeks earlier, Cat Viper and Dogstorm battle Jack in shifts before he plays a poisonous trump card. And Big Mom's officers deliver a shocking offer to Sanji. Unquote. The Blu-ray retails at $29.99. Do you plan on adding any of these to your collection? So, anyways, I believe that was the last story, if I recall. Yep, that was the last article we were going to go over tonight. So, yeah, that was, as I said, the last article. All right, so with that, let's see. All right, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the go on to the wrestling wrap up, as we have been as we have, we did talk about, of course, the passing of Jay Briscoe earlier. So some other bits of news going on in the world of wrestling right now, of course. So more names have been announced for this coming Monday's Monday Night Raw 30th anniversary show, as it's been confirmed that Hulk Hogan is slated to be there. Both members of the Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu. Fatu, you guys might also remember as Rikishi. They'll be there. They'll be there. Now, apparently, Ric Flair and Tatanka will not be there, as they both were invited, but they both have other obligations. Tatanka going to his kids' wrestling tournament. So, but of course, this Monday is the 30th anniversary, which will also be the go home show before the Royal Rumble. There's also talk that The Rock, if his schedule permits, may make a surprise appearance to possibly set up, start setting up a storyline in which The Rock takes on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania eventually. So, also, there's still talk that looks like there's been some. Let's see. Tony Khan has stated he would be interested in buying the WWE. Now, considering that he got enough on his plate as is, with running the Jacksonville Jaguars, to running a International Soccer League, to running AEW and Ring of Honor. A lot of people have already stated that they feel like he's stretching himself way too thin already. So, but there's still talk. There's still talk that Vince might be trying to sell the company. and he's got a lot of lawsuits for breach of fiduciary responsibilities. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how all that kind of rides out. Let me see. And of course, tonight AEW did have it, and we'll talk about the results tomorrow. Of course, a couple title matches on tonight as Orange Cassidy defends the All Atlantic title against Jay Lethal, while Darby Allin defends the TNT title against Kushida. Among some of the other big matches going on tonight, Bryan Danielson will be taking on Bandito in his quest to remain undefeated and earn number one contender's shot to where he can get a 1 hour Iron Man match with MJF at Revolution. In a battle of female faces, Willow Nightingale takes on Toni Storm. Let's see what else. There's at least one other match, I believe. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah. Jake Hager looks to slap the face off of the face of Ricky Starks. This match was set up last week with Ricky Starks' humorous verbal diatribe directed towards Jake Hager, calling him Gilligan. Jake Hager, I know you're probably not watching this, but I'll just explain this to you anyways. Grant, I can understand maybe you don't know because maybe it was before your time, but you might have seen the episodes as in syndication as a kid. But Gilligan's Island was a 60s comedy that was started out on network TV and then was eventually syndicated in the 70s and 80s, and he wore a hat that was very similar to the hat you wear. That's where that came from. So, and also in another potential battle of faces here, the Young Bucks coming off of their victory with the Kenny Omega as to become the new the AEW World Trios champions, will be taking on Top Flight, the duo of Darius and Dante, the Martin brothers. So there we go with that. Now with that, I think it would be a good time for us to start winding things down. So we're going to go ahead and take a look back at this day in Niche history. And I've only got a couple of things for you guys tonight here. So today being Wednesday, January the 18th, 2022, let's take a look back at this day in Niche history. History! So first off, I'm going to head back 50 years ago today. Is on this date 50 years ago today, on this date 50 years ago today, the 210th issue of Little Lulu from Gold Key went on sale on this date for 15 cents, and it was 32 pages. Now, this, of course, was a book that was started by Dell Comics, continued in the early 60s by Gold Key, under Western Publishing, took a hiatus and started up again around this time. So, it's part of a long so on this date, 50 years ago today, the film centers to Little Lulu went on sale on the street from Gold. And, um, and as well, and also as well, Also on this date, 30 years ago today, um, WWF, World Wrestling Federation at the time, had its second episode of Monday Night Raw from the Manhattan Center taped that night, receiving a 2.8 rating. In the matches, the main event saw El Matador Tito Santana go to a no contest with Ric Flair. Saw Marty Jannetty defeat Glenn Ruth. Now, Glenn Ruth would later come back to the WWE as Thrasher as one half the Headbangers. And then Mr. Perfect would defeat terrific Terry Taylor, who was also making his return, to the WWE after his whole fiasco with the Red Rooster gimmick. Among some of the other stuff going on the show, Bobby Heenan still trying to get into the building this week. Just went off on people. He he was on the phone actually, not being complained about not being allowed into during the last episode of Raw. Insult Rob Bartlett. There was a bit of an angle going on between Repo Man and Randy Savage, where Repo Man went after Savage at the beginning of the show. There was, of course, interviews done prepping for that year's Royal Rumble, including an interview by Vince McMahon interviewing Bret Hart, taking on Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon getting a WWF Championship shot. They showed some footage from Superstars of Wrestling between Doink the Clown and Crush. Shawn Michaels was talking about his match with Marty Jannetty coming up at Royal Rumble during Jannetty's match with Glenn Ruth. Paul Bearer and Undertaker did a pre-recorded 30-second promo for Headlock for Hunger, Molly Food Fund. Gene Okerlund, of course, gave a Royal Rumble report. Mr. Perfect interfered. Basically, Mr. Perfect and Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, and Ric Flair interfered in each other's matches, which led to a big fight at the end of the show. Show ending with Repo Man stealing Rob Bartlett's car. Rob Bartlett, who was part of the announce team, of course, during that time. So with that, before we go, just one last piece of it. So don't forget, hopefully I hope to see you guys back here tomorrow for more Niche news, as well as don't forget, Friday Tim Olson will be with me as we'll be continuing our coverage of August of 1939. Looking at Speed Comics #1, which was published by Bookwood Publications, which their publications would eventually be bought up by Harvey Comics when it came into existence in 1941. But with that, guys, I thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.